Just how long are you going to keep living off of my parents, huh? What is the matter with you? Don't you have any shame or pride in yourself? How can you just keep living this way? Are you just never going to stop until you drained every single penny from my poor parents' bank accounts? Do you really think that just because you're my brother's wife that you can get away with taking advantage of my family like this? Well, I'm not going to stand for it. Do you hear me?
Amanda! It is just so lovely to hear from you. A real treat every single time. I see that you're still going on about this nonsense of me taking advantage of your parents. But as I've already told you over and over again, I am no leech. So, can we please just drop this whole thing already?
Well, of course a leech wouldn't think of themselves as a leech. They would think they're just going about their everyday lives while they suck everything from everyone around them. But just who told you that you were allowed to move into the condo with my parents, huh? You do know that they own that building and you have no right to be there, do you?
I'm really sorry, Amanda, but I think you must be mistaken about that condo. I mean, you do know that it's my name on the lease for it, don't you? So basically, that apartment belongs to me, and we're all living in it. Does that make sense to you?
You think I care if some stupid piece of paper has your stupid signature on it? None of that matters at all if you're making my parents pay the rent on that place. Does that make sense to you?
But I'm not making your parents pay for the rent, so I'm not sure what you're talking about at all when you say that.
You really have some nerve trying to brag to be about living in such a nice place when you're not even the one who's paying for it, you little rat. I know for a fact that your entire life is being bankrolled by my parents, and I'm not going to stand for it. I won't see you drain my parents of their savings because that's my inheritance.
Amanda, what is the point of this conversation? What are you trying to say? Because you're really just not making any sense at all. I mean, Brendan and I both have full-time jobs that we work very hard at. There's just no truth to these claims for leeching. At all. So, I really just want to know what is going to make you happy, or at the very least, stop sending messages like this to me and accusing me of things I'm not doing.
You want to know what I want? Fine, I'll tell you what I want. I want you and Brendan to move out of the condo and let me and my husband take your place. That's what would make me happy.
Really? Is that really what you want to happen to solve this? Even after you've spent years barely even talking to your parents? I don't understand. Why are you suddenly wanting to move in with them now? Did something happen? Do you need some kind of assistance?
Oh, shut up. I wouldn't accept help from you if we were the last two people on Earth. I just wanted to be there for my parents now that they're getting up there in age. Is that really so bad? I just can't help but think that they must need some assistance living in that giant condo all by themselves. That's why it would be best if my hubby and I moved in and took your place. My husband is already on board, so you might as well just say yes and move out.
Well, first of all, your parents literally do not live alone. Brendan and I also live in this condo, as you well know. But I still don't understand why you think you and your family would be able to move in with us. I know this place is big and all, but I think we're already at maximum capacity with the four of us. And I just can't see 6 people sharing this space comfortably.
Sharing? What on earth are you talking about? Do you really think that I would ever want to live with you?
Sorry, then what are you talking about? What is it exactly that you want from me?
I want you and my no-good nerdy brother to move out of that condo so that my husband and I can move in. I already made that very clear in other messages. I'm ordering you to move out right now. Do you understand me?
But I thought I already explained to you that I own the condo. The lease is under my name and everything, so I don't understand why you would want us to move out.
I already told you that I don't care whose stupid signature is on what stupid paper. You're living with my parents, and as her actual child, I have the right to demand to live with my mom. Over you. You're just standing in the way and being obstructionist at this point, so just leave us alone already.
So I guess you're just going to completely ignore the fact that your brother is also here and living with your parents then? And if you really think that we're such awful people to be around your parents, why don't you go and ask your mom herself what she wants? I mean, they were the ones that moved into the condo with us, I'll have you know.
Oh, I will go and ask her. You can count on that, Tracy. But in the meantime, you and Brendan should pack your bags and get ready to leave.
So, you're really serious about this then? You're really going to try and kick Brendan and I out of our own condo? I don't even know what to say to that. I mean, it's clear that you haven't even talked to your parents about any of this. Maybe you should do that first before jumping the gun like this.
What the heck is the matter with you? I told you that I wanted you out by the end of the week and you're still here? You must have really been trying to piss me off. I guess that explains why I slapped you right on your stupid face.
Are you sure that you don't mean to be apologizing to me right now? I mean, seriously, Amanda, have you lost your mind or something? Why on earth would you do something like this? What is the matter with you?
Oh, shut up, you sore loser. I told you and Brendan to be out of the condo by now and you weren't. You had plenty of warning, so don't act so shocked about this. And what about these boxes that you've left here at that condo? Are you going to come and get them or shall I just chuck them all in the garbage?
Amanda, you are seriously going to regret doing this. I don't think that you understand the mistake that you're making. I mean, you clearly had no clue that it was Brendan and I, mostly me, that were letting your parents stay with us out of the kindness of our hearts. But you seriously hit me to get me out of my own home. You are not going to live this down and I will make sure that you pay for this.
Oh, please. You think I care what some little leech thinks about what I've done? You two can just disappear for all I care. Now this condo is all mine. And we deserve it much more than you do. After all, you were just leeching off my mom and my dad, using them like your purse and piggy bank. But I talked to my dad and he said it was fine if we move in.
I'm wondering if you've heard the saying, pride comes before the fall? In this, I think it's more idiocy than pride, but it can be hard to tell with you. I mean, you really just don't know when to quit, and now you've gone and made a real mess of things for everyone.
There you go. Now the real you starts to come out. You know that people only resort to name-calling when they have nothing of value to add to a conversation. And besides, don't go acting as if you weren't trying to steal my family's home around from them. I was only doing what I had to do to protect my parents from horrible people like you and my brother. So just shut up, accept that you've lost, go and never come back, and take my stupid brother with you.
If insulting people means that you have nothing to add to a conversation, then that certainly explains every message you've ever sent to me. I seriously can't deal with you when you act like this. You are just being totally unreasonable and I can't stand it.
Oh, just give it a rest already, would you? You've lost. Don't you see that? I won. The condo is mine. My parents are safe and all is right with the world. Now my husband and I are going to live with and take care of my parents, and you two are never ever going to bother any of us again.
All right then. I hope that you all have a nice life.
And don't ever let me catch your ugly muck sulking around this building either. You got it?
Okay then. I understand. But if you're doing this, then there is some business that we need to attend to. Of course, I still haven't forgiven you for this, or for hitting me in the face, but there is some paperwork we need to take care of. Like changing the name on the lease. Okay then, it's all done. I talked to the leasing company, explained the situation, and that should be the end of it. Enjoy living in your new condo, Amanda!
It's about damn time you got back to me. Could you have moved any slower? You really are useless if I took you that long to change some names on a form. It really is a good thing that I'm kicking you out now. Who knows what damage you might have caused.
Well, does it feel good? Do you think you've won now? Are you glad that your brother and I are finally moving out? Because Brendan and I couldn't be happier to finally be rid of that place.
Oh, please. You think I'm really going to buy that you're happy and that I was able to steal your home away from you? Try less harder. I mean, you two are homeless now. You have nowhere to go, and I've taken everything from you. What could you and my stupid brother possibly be so happy about?
Oh, Amanda! I think you're mistaken again. Brendan and I aren't going to be homeless at all. We've been living in a hotel and we'll keep doing so this week while we arrange all of our stuff for the move. I told you over and over again that Brendan and I both work full-time jobs. And we have quite a bit amassed in savings now. Not to mention the fact that I'm going to be charging you a prorated fee for the time that you'll be in the apartment, as well as for the down payment and everything like that.
You really expect me to pay you a single cent? Why on earth would I ever do that?
Well, because in all those documents I sent you to sign, your husband signed a deal agreeing to pay all of this. So I'm afraid you can't run from this one.
Wait, what? You can't be serious. We're not going to pay anything that you didn't already explain to us that we'd have to pay beforehand. That's just ridiculous. It's particularly theft.
I'm sorry, but it really isn't my fault at all if you or your husband just signed those papers without reading through what they said. But anyways, you've already signed them and they've already been officiated, so there really isn't anything you can do about it. And then, once you've paid Brendan and I what you owe us, we'll agree to never ever talk to you again. Which means that we expect to never hear from you either.
Whatever. I don't care about anything you and my lousy brother have to say. We would never even want to talk to you again anyways. And besides, we still have this condo all to ourselves. I seriously doubt that whatever we owe you is even going to be that much. So we'll pay for it for no reason than to finally be rid of you.
Alright then. If you pay us what you owe us, then we'll be out of your hair and you'll never have to deal with us again. That is what you want, isn't it?
You know darn well that's exactly what I want. Not only was I able to save my parents from being in the clutches of horrible vampires such as yourself, but now I finally get to live with my parents.
You know, you keep calling me a parasite and accusing Brendan and I of leeching off of your parents. But I think that you and your husband are going to be the real leeches.
Say whatever you want, you sore loser. It isn't going to change the fact that I have a condo and you don't, and you're clearly just jealous of that fact.
Great, well, think what you want. I really don't care. I hope that this all turns out the way that you want it to. Good luck with everything, and never ever contact us again, okay?
I was just about to tell you the same thing about not contacting me. I really don't care at all how you and Brendan's life end up, really.
Right, well, I guess I'm just wondering how you two are going to afford to pay rent on that place next month. After all, it was not cheap to live in that place, but I'm sure that you'll all figure it out. Good luck!
Whoa, what? What is that supposed to mean? Is that some kind of joke?
Nope, I'm very serious. You'll have to pay to keep living there. It's kind of how these things work. Anyways, we're still busy with moving stuff here, so I've got to go. See ya!
Tracy, what is the meaning of this, huh? I mean, how could this happen? You need to explain to me what is going on right this instant.
Oh, Amanda! That's so funny hearing from you so soon. I thought you said that you were never ever going to reach out to us ever again. I wonder what this could be about. What seems to be on your mind? And please make it quick. I really don't have the time to talk to someone like you.
We can't afford the rent on this place and things are falling apart here fast. We even asked my parents to pay, but they said that they don't have any money in their bank accounts.
Well, yeah, I knew that already. But anyway, what is it that you wanted to talk to me about? Unless... No, Amanda. Say it isn't so. Don't tell me that you didn't know your parents were penniless.
Wait a second. You know that my parents didn't have any money in their bank accounts?
Of course I did. Why do you think that I was the only one paying for everything up until about a month ago? They certainly couldn't afford to do it.
But that's... Wait, what? Are you kidding me? So they really don't have any money at all?
That's what I'm telling you. Your parents don't have any money that I wasn't giving them. In fact, both of your parents were in so much debt that they had to sell their old house. That's when they had to reach out to Brendan and I and ask if they would live with us.
They sold their house because they were in debt? But I had no idea about that. Why didn't I know about it?
Probably because you never showed any interest in your parents until you thought you could use them to steal my condo from me. But it's all true. They couldn't afford to live in their own place, and so they begged us to let them move in, and we said yes.
But then, how am I supposed to pay this month's rent? I certainly can't afford a place like this. Tracy, what if you moved back in with all of us and then you could go back to paying how you used to?
You can't be serious about that, right? You really think that I would ever move back in there and live with you guys again? No, Brendan and I already told you that we never wanted to hear from any of you ever again. We've already bought our own new condo and we don't want anything else to do with any of you as long as we live. Do you understand?
Hold on a second. You and my brother bought a new condo together? But I don't believe it. How could you do that to me?
To you? This has nothing to do with you at all. We just needed a place to live since someone kicked us out of our old place.
But I had no idea that my parents didn't have any money. How could I have even know that? You should have told me about this before you let me kick you out.
Oh, please, Amanda. I told you time and time again that you should really talk to your parents about this. But you just wouldn't listen. Besides, do you really want me to feel bad for you after you slapped me in the face and stole our condo?
This can't be happening. Things weren't supposed to be like this. I don't know what to do.
I tried to tell you that Brendan and I were not the so-called parasites that you thought we were. If anyone was living off of anyone, it was your parents off of us. We were paying for every little thing at that place.
But that isn't fair. I thought that you were just trying to brag about your money so that you could scare me away from taking over your condo. You should have done more to convince me that this was a bad idea. This is all your fault. We were so happy to get to live in this huge place because we thought it was going to be free. But it's not like that at all. How could you do this to us? You betrayed us.
Betrayed you? Please do not tell me that you're trying to make yourself out to be the victim here. I am not going to stand for that for 1 second.
It isn't fair, though. I thought that my parents were going to pay for everything and that I wouldn't have to worry about anything after we moved in here.
Please tell me you're not serious about that. I mean, how old are you now? You're not some kid who gets an allowance from their parents anymore. You're an adult and you should know how to live within your means. Although, I can't say that I entirely blame you for not knowing how to save money, given the fact that your parents clearly didn't know how to do that either. But if you thought you wouldn't have to pay for anything, then you've just been delusional this whole time.
But I just wanted my parents to pay for things.
Repeating it isn't going to make it happen. You do realize that, right? Saying that you want your parents to pay for everything isn't going to change the fact that they don't have any money. Brendan and I wanted to live in that condo where you all are at for so long. We waited and waited and waited on a list for vacancies, and then we were finally able to secure one. And then, not only your parents, but then you and your husband came and took it all away from us. But I've already signed over the condo to your husband, so it's your problem now.
What do you mean you signed it over to him? That doesn't make any sense. When did this happen?
Last month, Amanda. It happened last month when I sent that paperwork for you to sign. Did you really not read any of it?
Well, I kind of more just skimmed over the first page of all the different stacks, but I thought that was where all of the most important information was.
All right then, that's fine if you did that, but it doesn't change the fact that you basically did this to yourself then. And I don't see any reason why I should give you anything or show any mercy because you were too stupid to not read a contract you signed.
But I didn't know that things were going to go like this. I would have never agreed to anything if I knew this was going to happen.
And what do you want me to do about it now? The documents are signed, everything is official, that's that.
But my husband and I have debt of our own, and a lot of it. There's no way that we could ever afford this place and make payments on it.
So that's what all of this is about. I had a sneaking suspicion that you might have owed money and that was what this was about.
You mean you knew this whole time that we were also in financial trouble?
Well, I did think it was weird that you two didn't own a home at all and that you were so eager to move in with your parents when you thought they were paying rent. It was just a guess of mine. But now I know that it's true.
But I still don't know what I should do. How do I get out of this mess now?
Well, one thing you could do is to look through the copies of the documents that I sent you. I think you'll see that if you fail to pay the rent, they will make a payment plan using your salary and take up to half of it while keeping a running tab for you that you'll have to pay at the end of the year.
But how much do I owe the building already?
Well, given that you two are technically new entrants, you have to pay the entry fee. Plus the space, of course. I think you're looking at around $10,000?
$10,000? Are you kidding me? I don't have that kind of money.
Well, you better come up with it soon or else your debt is only going to go up. Oh, and by the way, the building does add interest onto the running tab that they'll keep for you. Anyways, have a nice life. I'm going to block you after this, and then Brendan and I are never going to have to worry about you or your parents ever again.
Wait, you're going to block me? You can't do that. Please, you have to help me. You can't just leave.
I didn't block Amanda for a while after that, just to see what she would send me. She kept begging for help and for me to give her Brendan and I's new address. But I was never ever going to do that. It was long afterwards that I blocked her. I heard from some old neighbors in the building that loud fights could be heard from our old unit, and that by the end of the month, they saw Amanda and her family packing up their boxes and moving out of the condo. I have no idea where they all are now, or what they're going to do about their debt. But quite frankly, I don't really care.
Kelsey, are you planning on coming to my wedding? Although you happen to be Andy's older sister, I hear that you are a middle school graduate that plans on coming to my wedding. All the other guests will be surprised to see you there, I assume. I mean, it is expected that everyone that shows has some form of education, or at least a job worth working.
Fern, how are you doing? It's been so long since the last time you and I talked to one another. What are you trying to say to me right now?
I shouldn't have to explain myself for you to understand what this is all about, right? I know for a fact that your little brother is a doctor, and you know that very well.
Yes, I am very aware of that, in fact.
Hearing that a doctor's older sister never even made it past high school? That is very hard for me to believe, even coming from the man I love. If that's really the case, though, then that must mean you are pretty much useless at everything, correct? Right now, I am really wondering why someone as skilled as Andy had to end up with such a waste of space as you, Kelsey.
Are you making all those claims about me only based off the fact that I only graduated out of middle school? When you had met with me previously, was that the same way you judged me then?
I could see that you looked very nice in that fine dress you had on. But when your mother was going to explain your situation to all of us, Andy stopped her and told her to keep it quiet, right? That's when I knew that something very fishy was going on. I could tell that you were the one in the family that everyone sees as taboo and most likely don't like very much.
So that's how you came to saying such unfortunate things about me. Well, you were very mistaken then. You just happen to have a misunderstanding of me and what I do as well as of my past then. I believe my brother was just being kind and making that whole meeting about you guys and not about me by having my mom shut up.
Well, I'm sure people could say it like that as well then. Andy knows that you're an embarrassment to your family, and that's why he restrained your mother from talking any further about you. I get that you guys are all trying to hide the truth from us.
Fern, I'm sorry to say this, but you are very much wrong about that. That was not Andy's plan whatsoever when stopping my mom.
You poor, poor thing. Not only do you have such a terrible education, but not even your parents spent any time raising you into a proper adult.
Excuse me?
What I'm saying is true, right? You never graduated high school after all. I understand your family tried their best to cover up what a stain you are on your family's image by dressing you up in such a nice dress. But I could tell the moment I saw you that it was all a hoax.
Are you sure about that?
When you become someone of my status, it's pretty easy to tell the truth from the lies. I work with things like flowers all the time as an expert florist, so I have a very well-trained eye for all sorts of things. The way you act is even a bit rough.
I can see that.
If you are planning on coming to our wedding, then I'd really enjoy it if you took some classes in becoming a responsible adult and learn how to have manners. If you're not able to do that for me, then you won't only be causing a lot of embarrassment for your brother Andy, but for his bride as well.
I would like to ask you this just out of my own curiosity. But what school did you end up studying at and graduating from to become such an expert florist as yourself?
Huh? And why would you like to know such a thing as that?
Is it wrong of me to ask?
Even if I told you where I studied, someone like you would never be able to understand its importance. I'm surprised you were even able to ask me what school I've gone to with such confidence as that.
Well, I'd really like to know where you've went before your wedding. You say that you were an expert florist and a teacher now at that. That must mean you'll be arranging your own flowers to decorate the wedding, correct?
I teach things like making bouquets and things like that. But I'm also able to teach things like flower arranging for weddings and funerals. I happen to be from a school that's taught me all of that. So not only can I perform, but I can teach as well. So if you're trying to ask me to help teach you anything about it, I'm afraid it's all too high level for someone who couldn't even make it out of high school. Perhaps you should try taking after your brother first, instead of asking me such brainless questions.
Well, that didn't quite answer my question, but I'll be looking forward to hearing more from you at the wedding. And I hope on that day you'll be willing to tell me what school you went to.
How's it going, Miss Never Graduated from High School? Have you finally been able to recognize the large gap in status between you and I?
You really have arranged all these flowers here well.
You're able to see just how amazing of a person and florist I am, right?
To be honest with you, I don't see one bit of what you're talking about.
I guess even this is too hard for someone with no education or upbringing to understand, huh? Come on now, do you want to give it a try?
You're asking me to?
You can go ahead and try arranging some flowers. I'm feeling confident about you. I happen to have a lot of flowers left over that you can work with.
I might end up making you look bad, but is that all right?
What?
Do you really think the way you have all these flowers set up is the right way to display them for your own wedding?
What are you talking about, Kelsey? I was able to do all of the arranging by myself, and that's made my marriage to Andy even more exciting today. I knew that something like flower arranging would be too much for someone who couldn't make it out of high school, nor was ever even raised properly by her parents.
Then I suppose I will have to arrange some flowers for you today.
Really? I'd like to see you try.
Well then, allow me to put all my knowledge and skill into making up some very beautiful pieces for your wedding today.
What the heck is that? What is the meaning of all this? Why were you able to make such a beautiful and outstanding arrangement of flowers?
I just happened to use the skills I had to make up that arrangement for you. Of course, these are skills I learned while studying flower arranging in Japan at the Royal Palace there.
What? Royal Palace? In Japan?
I seem to have found that large gap you were talking about before, Fern. How does it feel knowing about it now, too? Has this completely ruined your mental state, making you want to quit your job as a so-called expert florist?
What are you on about? Tell me right now. What do you mean you got to study doing flower arrangements at the Royal Palace in Japan?
I happen to be a professional florist. And, as such, I was invited to Japan to study at the Royal Palace there in a 3-month course learning all the different techniques they use over there. And the reason that my brother stopped my mom from ever telling you any of this before was to stop her from ruining your pride.
Huh? Ruining my pride? Why?
Because, unlike you, who is just a florist and a teacher of flower arranging, I am a professional in the field. And had you learned that I'm a very famous flower arranger, you might have taken that personally and lost confidence in yourself. So, based on timing and things like that, I was going to wait to tell you about myself another day.
So, you guys hid all of that about yourself for my sake?
I told you that already, right? My family wasn't going to just go all in on making you feel like you're worthless compared to me. We happened to really care about how you feel and wanted to make sure we did everything we could to make you happy.
But I was told you never graduated from high school. And that's why I just assumed you were some lowlife with no education. I don't get what's going on here. Telling me that you're a professional florist and things like that aren't making things easy for me. If anything, you're saving all that until now has really caused me to freak out.
After I had moved from middle school to high school, I found out during an art expo that there was such a thing as flower arranging. I tried it out and found that I really loved the art and wanted to make a career with it, but didn't know how. When I asked the lady running the expo about it, she told me a lot of times professionals will travel the world learning all about the art of arranging. So during my second year of high school, I went and studied abroad in places like France and Italy, learning about flower arranging from the pros. I ended up staying out of the US for longer and longer, and when I finally felt I'd learned enough to make a career out of it, I moved back and by that point didn't return to high school, but instead got my GED. And after starting my work and making a name for myself, I was invited to the Royal Palace in Japan, where I learned even more about flower arranging in their ways.
What? That's what happened?
Just know that I have my GED, so it's not like I didn't technically graduate from high school.
So you're telling me you never did drop out of high school or anything like that?
Well, not like your average dropout anyway. Now, can we start looking forward to this wedding of yours?
How am I supposed to look forward to my wedding today after what you've done? I get that this is supposed to be my special day, but because you had to show off with your flower arranging, everyone's going to think I'm a joke. I'll lose everyone's respect in me and become a complete failure. At this point, there's no point in going on like this and having a wedding.
I understand that this might all be hard for you, but it's still the day of your wedding. I think you should stand back up and give it all you've got to make this day special for you and my brother.
Everyone that I teach is here at this wedding today. And right now, they're all starting to talk about having you as a teacher.
You can relax when it comes to that. It isn't often that I take in students under my wing, and it's very hard for me to even accept anyone. I don't even feel as though me teaching them at the stages they're all at would do them any good. Also, I don't have the time to teach anyone at the moment, as there is too much going on in my life.
Are you trying to say I have all the time in the world to teach them?
I'm not saying that in a bad way, Fern. It just happens to be that you're a teacher, so it's part of your job. So please don't get the wrong idea from what I've said.
I am not going to forgive you for all of this.
I'm really not sure why you are so upset with me over what's happened today, but you are supposed to be the bride today, correct? You had only asked me to take a try at arranging some flowers, and that's why I did so. If anything, I'm thankful that the bride asked me to do some of the arrangements for her wedding today. So please, stop trying to blame me for yourself being upset when you know it's not me who asked you to do all of this.
Well, even if I asked you to do all of that, I am not okay with what you've done.
Fern, can you please stop acting like a child right now? Can you please place away your hard feelings towards me and just enjoy your wedding today with my brother?
Why would this happen to me? What have you done? This is all your fault, Kelsey.
Hold on, what are you talking about now, Fern? It seems you happened to become a little too jealous of my abilities and ended up hurting yourself in the process of getting back at me? You tried to come up from behind me and push me into your wedding cake, only for me to move out of the way last second as you sent yourself into it. You made all your guests laugh a lot after that one. I never did anything to provoke what you did, so this is all on you, correct?
The wedding has been canceled, all right? Why are you doing all of this to me?
And why do you keep acting like I'm the one doing all of this to you? It just happens that my brother, my family, and yours, and all of your students that you invited are fed up with your childish behavior. And now the wedding is over because of that, right? What do you want me to do about this? I'm going to be honest that I can't do anything to help you out of the mess you've got yourself into now.
If you had never done something as needless as make those beautiful arrangements, then I could have given a wonderful wedding to all my guests as a happy bride.
It's all over now, Fern. So I think it's a better time than any for you to calm down a bit and think everything you're saying over.
I don't care about calming down right now. If you had never showed off in front of me and all the guests, I wouldn't have had to freak out and come after you. But you went ahead and made such a perfect set of arrangements today.
And I told you already that it's my job to make things perfect as I'm a professional and am paid to be. And this time, I really should have asked for some form of pay after all the work I put into those arrangements for you. But it's my brother's wedding as well, so I thought it'd be okay to provide that service to you all for free. Really, you just happened to not be as good as you thought you were, and so my flowers shined against yours. So please stop getting upset with me for doing what I've trained so many years to do. And I want to ask you to please stop teaching your students your form of flower arranging, as it's not good and they'll never be able to make money with it.
I don't give a crap about the flowers anymore.
And you call yourself a flower arrangement teacher? Shame on you, Fern.
You know dang well that the wedding was the most important thing to me today. I'm sure that with the way things turned out, Andy is going to want a divorce now. It's all because of you that my whole wedding and marriage has been ruined.
Fern, have you still not realized anything yet?
Still not realizing anything? What are you talking about?
The only one that's to blame for all of this happening to you isn't someone like me or my family, but yourself.
Huh? What do you want to say to me?
I was trying to make that very clear to you just a bit ago. You tried so hard to make yourself look good in front of me by gambling on me being bad at flower arranging. But after you realized that I was no joke and far more competent than you at this job, you fell short and began to freak out at the embarrassment of having all your students look up to me. And you have to realize that in doing all of that, you actually really embarrassed my brother as well, right?
I didn't mean for any of...
Even if you didn't mean to try and embarrass me and make me feel bad about myself, what's happened today is all because of your actions. Do you understand that?
I don't understand a thing about this. The fact that my wedding had to end up being canceled like this?
My brother had every right to ask for the wedding to be canceled after what you did to embarrass yourselves. You were trying to push me into the cake, but ended up falling into it instead. Your face wasn't only covered in loads of frosting, but your dress and everything was ruined and in tatters, right? Can't you see that by not canceling the wedding, things would have only gotten worse for you? I think Andy made the right choice here in having the wedding canceled. Now you should take from this that you have to stop acting like a spoiled brat and move on with your life.
You shouldn't have to say things like that about me. My heart is already broken, and you're going to call me a spoiled brat?
Also, I understand that you think highly of yourself for being a so-called expert florist and teacher, but you don't have any of the necessary requirements to be a teacher in that art, right? I believe you really need to find a new job for yourself, as you are no teacher, and if anything, you're a scam to all your students. So please stop calling yourself an expert in things like that for me. Your way of arranging is not good, and I wouldn't even put it as being standard level. I think that if you really want to go into this profession, you should start by learning from a professional.
But to become a professional would require me to spend money. What's wrong with me making a little money teaching students with how to do flower arranging my way?
What you are doing is not okay, as it's just another scam. And I've already explained this to my brother so that he can think on it.
What? Why would you do something like that to me?
I'm just trying to stop someone like you from posing as an expert and ruining the image of us real professionals. And can you stop saying you went to school for any of this? I told my brother to make sure you find something else to do besides working in flower arranging. So, you can have a word with him now about how things are going to go for you.
Kelsey, please. Can you please just forget about all this and go back to us both being kind sister-in-laws? I have finally been able to marry a doctor like Andy, and today was supposed to be the perfect day for me. I was having so much fun with everyone being so jealous of me, ending up in the perfect situation. Why did this have to happen to someone like me?
I'm not sure why, but I'm going to say no to that.
Why are you saying no? I'm asking you to please come back and be my sister-in-law.
Even if you ask me in the nicest way possible, I can already tell you haven't learned anything from today and you only want to make yourself feel good. Now good luck fixing that whole mess on your own. I'm sure things from here on out will be tough for you, but I think you should start by finding a new occupation besides working with flowers. Now, best of luck to you when you have that conversation with Andy. I'll be wishing for a future where I'll never have to run into someone like you again. In the end, the wedding was officially canceled and never was able to be finished. And as Kelsey was hoping for, there was never a moment after that day where her and Fern ever ran into one another again. Andy ended up learning a terrible amount about his wife and decided that it would be better to divorce her than sit around and wait for her to learn her lessons. And so, he told her that he no longer loved her and would be divorcing her. He wasn't going to ask her for anything in the divorce, as he already knew she didn't have much. But the one condition he stated was that she could never come around him or his family again after she was out of his house. Fern's parents also ended up giving up on her after her actions and were not willing to listen to her complain and ask for help after she was divorced by Andy. And it wasn't just her parents either, but pretty much every person she knew showed no sympathy to her and didn't lend a helping hand. And as she sat there for months in her flower shop waiting for people to show up for months on end, she began to realize that there was no use in her being a so-called florist anymore, so she had to sell the shop and move away. She lost a lot of money not having any students or customers come in those months, and even selling the place didn't get her enough to break even on it. So when she moved away, she had to put herself into a very rundown apartment, with not a lot of foot traffic in the area to keep the rent down, which in turn left her with few options for work. But anything would be better than her being a scam to all her students and paying customers. She was surely asking for it when she tried to play games and embarrass someone like Kelsey. But such heartless games as that will only end oneself in a worse place than they started. And as you can see right here, Fern ended up as the embarrassed one, with Kelsey coming out on top.